I don't know if you saw this. This is amazing. You know, of course, all these safe injection sites. It just came out that overdose deaths, what a surprise, have actually been skyrocketing since they've created these safe injection sites. It reminds me of some of these other, the machines that are like, here, have a crack pipe. I mean, Rudy's laughing because it is. It's the definition of insanity.
It's a terrible thing to laugh about.
But it is, Rudy.
Laugh.
You know what, Rudy? It is so ludicrous. I totally agree with you.
There's no information that these injection sites even work. But what they don't do is they don't hook people up with treatment. You have to do that. If you're going to lure somebody in for an injection site, make them sign an agreement. You have to sign up for treatment. But they have to want treatment, and most of them don't want it. And that's the problem here. You're just wasting taxpayers' money, first of all, enabling drug users to get, injections.
Free.
And the neighborhood around it, by the way, hates it, because I remember council members from the Bronx who were complaining in the previous council that these injection sites don't work, and they the families don't want them there. People with families and kids don't want to look at drug addicts strung out on the street.
Yeah, and needles everywhere. That's all you need, Craig Eaton.
Councilman, this is Craig Eaton. I mean, what we're doing is we're enabling drug users. We're making it easier for them to get drugs. It's ludicrous. I mean, when this first came out years ago, I said, what are we doing in this city? I mean, get them help. Get them into a detox program or something else. Detox them. Don't give them drugs.
Craig,
we're
going to be like San Francisco. That's what we're turning into.
This has been the debate from the very beginning about legalizing drugs. And the people who want to legalize drugs say, there'll be less drug criminals. The organized crime will be out of it. There'll be less drug use. The fallacy in that is when you're dealing with an addiction, the easier you make it, the more addicted people you're going to have. And the harder you make it, the fewer addicted people you're going to have. And it's the only chance to really interfere in it.
But the problem is
hard and difficult.
So let's talk politics. The problem is, and I'm glad, Councilman Holden, you're a common sense guy. This shouldn't be a Democrat issue. It shouldn't be a Republican issue. This should be an American issue. And the reality is, there are a lot of people on the Democratic side who are like, here, let's make it easier. And what crime? They're in denial.
They want to legalize prostitution. That's ridiculous. Again, it's legalizing things that when they legalized pot, they did. How's that going, by the way? I mean, has the city? Are we better off in New York City with legalized pot?
I get high every day. I just walk down the street and I'm getting high. There's marijuana smell everywhere.
We've increased.
Councilman, it's Richard Weinberg. You're exactly right about the marijuana. First of all, it's a so-called revenue grab, and they're not going to get the revenue because it's an underground economy. They're not going to use legitimate places, and it was totally disorganized. And it's a gateway drug. I ran special narcotics in state Supreme Court for about 6 or 7 years, and I am telling you, marijuana is a gateway drug. It causes all the same diseases as a cigarette does, and it causes brain damage to young kids who are using it. It is one of the worst public policy ideas in the world, and yet people say, oh, what a great idea, we're going to make some money on it. And by the way, drunk drivers get pulled over because they're a threat to their fellow human beings. How are you going to test for being stoned on marijuana when they're driving a car? I mean, the whole process is insane.
They can, and that's the problem. Now, more people getting struck by cars and more accidents. You're going to see all of this. We're going to learn a lesson. We learned a lesson when Rudy became our mayor in the 90s, and he turned around New York City. Everybody knows that. I'm a Democrat. I'm the first to admit that because I lived it. And I worked with his administration, great administration. We need somebody like that to come along and say, enough's enough. Let's straighten out New York City.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you also about crime, too, because, boy, what a mess it's been. And to me, it just epitomizes it. Everybody around the country is talking about the case, of course, that happened in Queens with the guy on the scooter who randomly opens fire and kills the father of four,
goodness.
the Yemeni guy in his 80s, shoots a whole bunch of other people. It just epitomizes, I think, sadly, the lawlessness. And to your point, Mr. Mayor,
the crime. Councilman, do you agree with this? There were more crimes, let's say, in the 70s and the 80s. Even when I came in, there were 2,200 murders and just a lot more crimes than right now. But the crimes now are different. They're much bolder. I don't remember back then, even though we had all kinds of people just getting thrown on the subway for no reason.
Exactly.
Pulling out a
we're
gun.
seeing
Just pulling out a
lawless-
gun.
Or somebody
shooting.
coming along and there's an old person standing, they bang him in the head.
Yeah, with a hammer.
Or
we
they
didn't-
go into a store and wipe it out, and the
Right.
security people help them.
But
And
no,
if
we
they
never
don't, they
saw
get
that in
arrested.
the
Yeah,
70s.
now they're getting arrested. Now the security people are
But
getting
there's
arrested.
no fear.
Craig
These
Eaton?
criminals have no fear of going to prison because they know it's a walk in the park. They can do anything they want, and they're going to be out the next day.
Yeah, Bob Holden, go ahead. We just have a few seconds left. Go ahead,
But
Councilman.
the streets of New York City, and especially Manhattan, there's like a general lawlessness that you see everywhere. People driving the wrong way, people going through red lights, people driving illegal scooters, people stealing from the stores. You name it, you're seeing it. We didn't have that in the 70s and 80s. We still had respect for the police then. We're not seeing that now at all. There's
Yeah.
just a
Well, thank
general
God we
lack
have
of
you.
respect.
Yeah, thank
You are
goodness.
the voice of reason, my friend. You
Yeah.
know that.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.